Hello, I am Mike Hentges, President of Alliance for Shared Health, sitting today with Derik Scott, one of our Healthy Foundation coaches, and we're going to have a conversation around nutrition, mostly things that I've discovered over the past 10 years in my life trying to reclaim my health, and we're just going to kick around some ideas here about eating philosophies, types of foods that we eat, and everything in between. So, Derik, good to be with you today.
Mike, it's great to be here. This is a subject matter that I absolutely love to discuss, so I'm excited.
Well, kind of diving into, in no particular order, I've read a lot, as I mentioned, and just kind of starting off with maybe some of the latter things I've read, and we'll work through it here as we talk about it. But intermittent fasting, that seems to be something that has become very popular as of late. When I first started reading about it, it made sense to me, but can you talk a little bit about intermittent fasting and the benefits of it and what your thoughts are behind that?
Yeah, so I think intermittent fasting is absolutely fantastic for a lot of people, but recognize that everything is going to wax and wane. So intermittent fasting has been popular before. It's popular right now. It'll probably wane for a little bit and be popular again in some other variety. And when you talk about intermittent fasting, in essence, we all intermittently fast every single day because when we sleep, we're in a fasted state. But being a little bit more intentional about when you eat and when you don't eat can have some really positive health benefits. So a lot of people eat in those 16-8 windows where you're not eating for 16 hours and then you are consuming in an 8-hour window, and you can push that window forwards or backwards and you can do a lot of really neat stuff with it.
Let me ask you a question about that, because when I have practiced intermittent fasting, it usually means not eating breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm stopping eating dinner around 6 or 7 p.m. and then I don't eat again until noon. And that goes against what I heard growing up, that breakfast was the most important meal of the day. Is that a clash there between those two ways of thinking? Can you skip breakfast and it still be okay because you're getting the benefits of the intermittent fasting?
Yeah, so I always like to say there's no broad general rule that applies to everyone. You always have to experiment and find out what works for you. I will say that if we're talking high-level circadian rhythms and entrenching your circadian rhythm, which is how all of the basically hormones and everything inside your body operate, if you eat earlier in the morning, what it does is it entrenches your energy to a little bit earlier window. So you wake up, your cortisol goes up. Your cortisol is basically the hormone that's responsible for like making you move, very comparable to adrenaline. So if you eat earlier in the day, especially if you're eating maybe some healthier fats or some proteins, it can help your energy. However, if you're eating too much earlier in the day and then overall in the whole entire day you consume too much, maybe it's better that you skip breakfast. But again, that's going to be a very individualized experimentation. For some people, only eating one meal per day works out really well for them because they get the appropriate amount of caloric intake, they get all their micronutrients, all their macronutrients, and they're good to go. They're healthy, they operate really well. But that is definitely going to be some experimenting to figure that out.
Excellent. Well, Derik, I want to thank you for your time again today, that we had a chance to discuss these topics with our audience here. Again, for Alliance for Shared Health, I am Mike Hentges, along with our Healthy Foundation's coach, Derik Scott, and we wish you good health.